Hi there, and don't worry, I'm not trying to sell you any real estate in this video. I just want to talk a little bit about one specific kind of real estate, and that is lakefront houses here at Lake Balaton. I'm trying to give you my personal view of what is going on with this kind of real estate, or better, what I think is going on, and why I don't really like it that much. So I am here in the reed belt. So this is all full of reed, and this is what I would say about 60 to 70% of Lake Balaton's shores look like. So the water is over there. In this case, I think it's about 200 meters from here. So this reed belt can get quite wide. And it is really an important part of the ecosystem of this lake. And it is a protected area. I can show you this table here. So this says Fokozoton Vedet Termeseti Torilet. So it's a strictly protected area, and that means, of course, you cannot just simply build houses here. And yeah, as you can imagine, it is at least 60% of the shore, which is like that, which is a protected area. So that means real estate that is directly located at the lakefront is quite rare. Just to give you another impression of how large this reed belt is, here the water is about 1 kilometer, I would say, away. And yeah, this makes up about 60%, my estimate, of the shoreline. What about the other 40%? So there are places in the centers of the towns, things like promenades, harbors, and of course existing beach houses or lakefront houses that have been built a long time ago. These of course also exist, and many of them are being renewed, renovated. And what else? There are beaches, of course, and there are campgrounds. And actually the campgrounds are the interesting thing. A bit later I will show you a place where a campground has been transformed into a huge row of luxury lakefront houses. So to get there I have to cycle a bit this way. The place is called Balatonakali. There has been a huge campground, and the interesting thing is that these campgrounds have been government owned, and some of them I think still are government owned, and piece by piece they have been privatized. I'm in Balatonakali, which is a medium-sized tourist town at the northern shore of Lake Balaton. Behind me, that's the beach. And in front of me, we got the campground. You can see even here there is a lot of reed everywhere. So, as I said, reed is really an important part of the ecosystem, serving as a breeding ground for birds, insects. Part of it is in the water, as you can see, so that it's also important for fish, water snakes, frogs, and so on. So even in the middle of the towns a large part of the reed is not supposed to be removed just like that, because it's so important. So, and yeah, here we have the campground. Still quite a large campground here, but it used to be much larger, let's say 10 years ago. The campgrounds have been state-owned, and probably campgrounds are not the best way to make money, or at least to make money fast. So part of them, or most of them, have been privatized. And this is also what happened to this campground, at least to a part of it. So that's the beach entrance, and here we got the entrance of the campground. And I will now turn right, cycle along the campground up to the place where the campground now ends and where this new residential area is starting. Maybe, I'm not really sure if you should call it a residential area, because I think most of the houses will not, or are not, and will not be permanently inhabited. Oh, there's a train coming. So I would say that it is a little bit weird for luxury real estate that the houses are, I don't know, less than 10 meters away from the railway line. Well, it is not that frequented, and the trains go relatively slow, and normally there are no or very few trains late at night, but still it is a little bit weird. Because why am I calling this luxury houses? I have seen offerings for a 90 square meter part of one of these houses. So it's probably one of, like this, you can see over there, with two entrances, and one half of it should be about 90 square meters living area, and that is being offered for 1.3 million euros. 1.3 million for 90 square meters. I mean, in certain regions of Germany or wherever, this would be a normal price, or maybe even cheap. Talking about Munich. But if you ask anybody from Hungary, you would say that's crazy, that's absolutely crazy. And especially when the house is just 10 meters away from the railway station. Now, 1.3 million, that's the offering. So that doesn't really mean that anybody will buy it for that price. So you can see some of these houses, or actually most of them, are not really finished. They are partly still under construction, or at least empty, not yet used. So the construction has begun in, I would say, 2019. So that's 5 years ago. It was, of course, a little bit slowed down by the pandemic, but you can see there is still a lot of construction going on. Maybe I can get a little bit closer turning right. Yeah, it looks like that. I hope I'm not gonna get kicked out, because you know, owners of luxury real estate normally don't want people hang around with cameras, but looks like nobody is there, so let's see. Okay, there is a guy. So you can see that's the reception of the former campground. Just trying to keep a low profile, not showing my camera, and just cycle along on this side without the guy watching me. Yeah, look at that. So maybe it's possible to get a closer look. So these are some small houses, and yeah, you can see most of this side is really just reed. And there will be a little wooden bridge, like maybe you can see one over there. So okay, yeah, this one seems to be finished on the neighbor place. Okay. Looks quite nice, but still it's not really directly at the lake, it's directly at the reed belt. And it's interesting, what I didn't know is that you can actually park your boats or yachts there, which is, for people who like it, it is probably quite nice. Yeah, and I would say this is probably also, could be 90 square meters, but it's a single house and not, as in the offering which I have seen, a part of a double house. So this might be on sale for maybe 1.5 million euros. And it looks like construction might have stopped quite a while ago. Maybe they don't have any more money. Now, the most important thing is that all of the ground here used to be state-owned, and it was mostly part of this campground, which is now much smaller, and it has been privatized. So how does this privatization work here in Hungary? I don't know, I have to say, but it looks like it was not just for sale, so that anybody could come on and buy these grounds. It was, I think, offered to specific selected people, and it might be that these are people who have a good connection to the government. Maybe the buddies of the Prime Minister, maybe the buddies of the Prime Minister. These are the guys who got this land for probably a small price, a very small price. I'm just speculating here because I don't know anything, but that's my impression, and that's what I've heard of some people. So these selected people got the land, started either selling it directly or building houses and then selling the houses. And some people have been making quite a good business. And aside from the fact that this isn't really just because only selected people were able to buy these pieces of land, what I'm a little bit afraid of is that not all of these houses will really sell for the prices for which they are offered. Maybe some of the companies which are building them will go bankrupt. Maybe some companies of the owners of the houses will get bankrupt, things like that. And then they will just stand there like in many other touristic places. I mean, in part it's really not too bad. Look at this one with a swimming pool and everything. So this is really luxury stuff, but don't forget, it's right next to the railway line. Oh, there's another nice one with some palm trees. It's interesting. So this is one thing that I'm a little bit afraid of, that some of these things will just stand there being unused. The other thing is, I hope that all of this is not really gonna continue for too long, because you know, this strip of houses is about, I would say, 800 meters long, and that's okay. It's not really beautiful, and it's another piece of the lakefront which is no longer publicly accessible. But it's always the same. So when there is too much construction activity going on in a tourist region, the recreational value of this tourist region will deteriorate, and at some point nobody will want to come here anymore, or at least fewer people will want to come here, and that would be really a shame. So what is this? Okay, yeah, there seem to be some older houses as well, or maybe, yeah, there are also some older houses. So probably this was the end of the former state-owned campground, and these are some lakefront houses that have probably existed for 50 years or so, or even longer. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. Quite a strange thing, I would say. I don't really, let's just turn around. Personally, I don't really understand that people are so fascinated by these lakefront houses. So maybe it's just some kind of status symbol, because okay, you don't even have a real private piece of beach. In most cases just a little wooden bridge which goes through a reed belt, which in this case is probably only 20 meters wide, and then you could go into the water or put up some beach chairs, whatever. But wouldn't be, absolutely doesn't fascinate me. You know, I bought a house which is about 300 meters from the shore. I can go to the public beach in about 5 minutes walking, or maybe 2 minutes with my bike. And to be honest, I find it much more interesting to go to a public beach where there are restaurants and all kinds of things. You can watch other people and so on. I find it much more interesting than sitting around alone on your private tiny little part of a beach. But well, people are different, and especially if these prices of way above €1 million, not for the whole house but only for a part of it, if they are real, that's quite crazy for Hungary, where a middle income family maybe makes 2,000, 2,500 euros per month, and that's already good, and that's for the whole family, maybe 2 grown-ups and 2 kids. So in this country where actually a lot of things have become really expensive, this is quite crazy. But of course, as always, there are some very rich people here as well as everywhere. Let me show you another type of luxury real estate at Lake Balaton. Again, we have a campground, but that's not what I mean. But again, it's interesting that it's located next to a campground, and what we have here is actually the first 5-star hotel in this region, the Lua Resort, or LUA Resort, I don't know. There's another building here, and I could well imagine that this ground here originally also belonged to the campground. And there's a yacht harbor right next to the hotel. Let's check it out. That's the yacht harbor, hotel over there, and on this side we have the public beach. So it looks like the hotel does not have its own beach, but I'm not really sure. But maybe that's the hotel beach, kind of. Yeah, there are some ladders where you can go into the water. Nobody here, except some ducks. And okay, it's the Sun Lounge and Champagne Terrace. Private, belongs to the LUA Resort. Okay. But some nice boats here. So I don't know anything, but I could well imagine that this piece of land where this 5-star hotel has been built also was government owned at some time, probably belonged to the campground, and then has been given away, probably for a really good price, to some body of the Prime Minister or so. But I don't know. Just wondering what these cabins here on the balcony are. I don't know. Looks like some kind of sauna. could be. But why on the balcony? Well, I am not so into 5-star hotels. I actually usually go to 3-star hotels. That already offers enough comfort to me normally. Okay. Looks like you can rent these electric cars, some bikes, of course also electrical. What else? Okay, now finally I would say that's it today from Balaton Luxury. Hope to see you next time. If you want to, just subscribe to my channel, and bye bye.